Greetings everyone. Today we are going to look at how to play a game called Gear Jammers. It's a derivative of the classic Car Wars game and totally backwards compatible, but with new mechanics that hopefully will make it run a whole lot smoother and faster and be a lot more exciting. Anyways, if you've never played the game before, it's basically a miniatures game where everybody gets a vehicle, and the vehicle's been souped up with arms and armor and power plants and what have you. And we basically take them into an arena and try to blow each other to smithereens. The last car is still moving, wins the game. Anyways, it's actually really it's like two games packed into one. And it's a driving game and a skirmish game. So I thought first what we do is we figure out how to drive these things, and then later on we'll take a look at the whole skirmish part of it. So I'm using a Matchbox as my example here, and I believe this is one from my own childhood, the Fantastic from 1974. Gear Jammers is a game that can be played with any scale vehicle just as long as all of your vehicles are made to the same scale. Later on I'll be switching over to what's called 1/160 scale with micro machines, which is a much better fit for this arena. But for now we're going to use the Matchbox card because I think it looks better on screen, easier to see. Anyways, your turn begins, and the very first thing you do is adjust your speed. You can accelerate or decelerate. How much depends on your vehicle. The Hellcat has an acceleration of 5 miles per hour, so if I'm at 30 right now, I could take it up to 35. If I wanted to decelerate, I can go by 5 or 10 miles an hour, but I'll stick with 35 for now. There are ways to actually accelerate faster, and there's ways to decelerate faster, but we'll look at those later. Basically, the whole point is that you always start your round with acceleration and deceleration. And then you move. And you must move 1 car length for every 10 miles an hour that you're going. So at 35 miles an hour, I need to move 3 car lengths. Now this is called our turning razor, this thing right here. And the gold edge is 1 car length. So to move 1 car length, I just go zip from one end to the other. And right there, 3 car lengths. Not too exciting, but it does the job. Now, when it comes to maneuvering, there are a number of different things you can do, but mostly it comes down to turns and drifts. Now, a turn is a 1 hazard maneuver, and basically you take your turning razor and you line up that point of the golden edge with your front bumper, and you pivot around it until, well, up to the point where the blue edge is flush with the side of your vehicle. And then you just kind of go like this, and that's 1 car length of movement with a turn. And at this point you'd also tell the Crashmaster turn, so he or she can then take the hazard token and move it over 1. Now if I want to go in the other direction, I do the same thing but on the other side. Turn. Another hazard. And if I don't want to, I don't always have to turn 45 degrees. I can actually do a slight, it's probably maybe a 22.5 maybe, I'm not sure. But it's not a full turn. Still, it does count as a turn, and you have to say turn, and the Crashmaster moves your hazard token over 1 more point. Now, if you look at the Haz track here, you'll notice that there are 3 triangles in the middle with a border drawn around them. This is the danger zone. Nothing happens when you enter into it, but the Crashmaster is obliged to tell you that you're in the danger zone. Because once you get out of the danger zone, just over here to the right of it, that is the crash zone. But yeah, once you're in the crash zone, or you start your turn in the crash zone, or you're somehow pushed even deeper into the crash zone, well, we have to make a crash roll to see if you flip your car or not. We'll do that later. But I think you were right about to go into the danger zone. Okay, I moved my my 3 car links, so my turn is done. And we recoil at the end of each round. And when you recoil, you move your hazard token, or the Crashmaster moves your Haz token back as many steps as you have handling class. So I go back 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm back at 0. No hazards. So I mentioned drifts. And a drift is basically what you do when you change lanes. You're moving your car side to side, but you're not actually changing directions. And the way to handle a drift is you take your turning razor and you once again line it up with a bumper, and you want that blue edge parallel with the bumper on your car, and you just slide it from one golden edge end to the other, like so. And that is a drift. That's 1 car length of movement too. And that's also 1 hazard. Now if I want to go in the other direction, I just flip it around and I do it on the other side. There you go. Another hazard. And of course I would tell the Crashmaster drift, because the Crashmaster isn't always right there at the table. One thing about Car Wars is that the arenas can actually take up a very large amount of space. So don't always count on the Crashmaster seeing what you're doing and knowing what you're doing and putting in the right amount of hazard for it. And well, we'll do one more drift. In this one, I say you line up the blue edge parallel. Well, if you don't want to do as steep a drift, you can actually tilt it backwards. And this will just move you a little bit to the side. The main thing though is you don't want that blue edge to be angled so that it's, up here. This is just too steep to do a drift with. Yeah, so it's like right there, that's your stopping point. And you can go anywhere from here to here, and that's a decent drift. Alright, speed hazards. That's something I didn't mention. Okay, a speed hazard, you notice that on the speedometer you have your miles per hour in black, and then you have numbers beneath them, and those white numbers are speed hazards. And anytime you're, above 50, you will take an extra speed hazard on top of whatever it is that's causing the hazard to begin with. So if I'm going 60 miles an hour and I decide to turn, I take 1 hazard for the turn and another hazard for the speed. If I'm going 80 miles an hour and I turn, that is 1 hazard for the turn and 2 hazards for the speed. And right there I'm in the crash zone. So that's why you gotta be careful with speed. And let's take a look at the crash zone. There are 2 cheat sheets, one for the Crashmaster and one for the driver. And the driver's cheat sheet is normally on the reverse side of their vehicle sheet. So I keep them folded in half just to make them easy to carry around and write on. But if you need some hints, there they all are. That's the rules. Here on the Crashmaster sheet we have the crash table. I hope you all can see that. And for a crash roll, you roll the D, I'm not even sure what that's called, the D10 maybe? The D00? It's part of the percentile die roll that gives you the 10th digit. You roll it once and you add it to the speed of your vehicle. Oh my, that is bad. You always want to roll low with the percentile dice, no matter what it is. So 90 plus 80 is 170, and 170 here is crash and burn. Basically, your vehicle flips and catches fire in midair and is totaled. Now, I can't get out the physics books and the protractors and everything else, but it's much easier for the Crashmaster. Just go over, pick up your vehicle, and drop it. And however it lands, well, that's how it lands. So, oh, I landed upright. Okay. Well, if I landed upright, I landed upright. But the truth is, with a crash and burn, your vehicle is totaled. The crew takes 2 dice of damage each, and if they survive, they escape the wreckage. Crew members have 6 hit points. So you roll once for the driver, and the driver is gone, and the gunner is gone too. So that was a pretty bad crash. Wow, I really was not expecting that. But anyways, that is how driving is done. It's fairly simple, I like to think. There are other maneuvers that you can do. We call them stunts, such as the power slide is basically a turn where you skid your back wheels out, basically allowing you to make a 90-degree right-hand angle, and then you would go forward. And if you look at your driver's cheat sheet, you'd see it says slide, and a slide does 1 die hazards. So let's move your hazard back. You would basically tell the CM, the Crashmaster, that you made a slide, and the Crashmaster would roll to see your die hazard. 2, so that's 1, 2. Oh, I'm still going 80, so 2 more for the speed hazard. And I'm in the danger zone. But I did survive. I had not crashed yet. And hopefully I'll make it to the end of the round, in which case I will recoil, 1, 2, 3, and be back in the safe zone. But if you look, it also says DCL 10. That stands for decelerate 10. And that's going to slow me down 10 miles an hour. And then there is LTD rear. TD stands for tire damage, and it comes in 3 different forms, light, medium, and heavy. And basically you roll 1 die, no matter how many tires are affected. Light damage, you subtract 4 from that die. Medium damage, you subtract 2 from the die. And heavy damage, you subtract none from that die. And, well, you know, it's not on your sheet, but it is on the Crashmaster sheet. Because generally, the Crashmaster is supposed to do all the dice rolling. Doesn't always have to be that way. But if you're playing with a big arena and people are moving all over the place, sometimes it helps to have the Crashmaster do all the dice rolling. So, there it is. Tire damage, light, medium, and heavy. Let's see, I just did a slide, so light damage to my rear tires. Oh, that does nothing. 4 minus 4, 0. So I take no damage on my rear tires, which is nice. Another thing is a skid. And to do a skid, you basically do a power slide. And you do a drift on top of that, but sideways, like so. You'd handle the slide first, and then you do the skid. And the skid also does 1 dive hazard. Oh, 5 points. That's terrible. Yeah, that's a crash. Once you add in the speed hazard, you know, I would actually move myself like 7 points down. Hey, stunts are not safe. And DCL 20 would take me down to 50. Medium tire damage on the skidding tires per car length that I skid. So I skidded 1 length, and I would take 3 minus 2. I take 1 point of damage on each of these 2 tires leading into the skid. And that's not that bad. tires often have like 8 to 12 points of damage, so they can take it. Crashing is a different matter. I decelerated to 50, so I would roll 50 plus 50, which is a 100. And as you can see, a 100 is a minor fishtail. And that doesn't do much of anything, it just moves me. So, an even number turns me left 45 degrees, and you always pivot from the rear with a fishtail. So, I would pivot like this. There. Far less dramatic than a crash and burn. And, well yeah, I can't forget this because it's been a staple of Car Wars from the beginning of time. And that is a bootlegger reverse. Has track all the way back here. No real reason for that other than it just doesn't really matter. And we'll say 40. 40 miles an hour is the perfect speed for a bootlegger. And a bootlegger is a way to completely do a 180 really fast, but they are kind of dangerous. And the way you do it is you actually flip your razor around, so the back side, which is 2 car lengths long, is lined up with the bumper, and you just go whee, and you stop over there. And that's the end of the bootlegger. And that does 1 die hazard plus 2, so that does 6 hazards. Oh boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, right on the edge of the danger zone. It's a DCL 40, so that's going to sap all my speed. I'm down to 0. And I take heavy tire damage to the rear and light tire damage to the front. So I'd roll 2 dice. This is for the rear tires. They each take 2 points of damage. And for the front tires, 6 minus 4, it also takes 2 points of damage. And if you're wondering, where's my... Oh, it's on the opposite side of this. The way you record damage is on what's called the schematic. And I just took 2 points of damage, so I would blacken in 2 of these squares on each tire. And that is that. So that is how we drive in Gear Jammers. Next up, combat. I have 2 cars here. The Hellcat and the Hotshot. The Hotshot Pyro is my take on the classic Hotshot vehicle. And the Hellcat is slightly faster, has a top speed of 102 versus the Hotshot's 101. So it gets higher up on the grid than the Hotshot. Basically, that's how you decide where they go on the grid. It's not incredibly important, but that is basically the game's initiative order. So whoever's on the top of the grid goes first, and then below it goes second, and then once you get to the end, well, the round ends and it just recoils, and you move your little initiative arrow back up to the top where it says the grid, tell yourself that you're recoiling, and then the next round begins with the Hellcat again. So I'm having them start at 30 miles per hour, and their hazard tokens are back at 0. If you're wondering about the cars themselves, they are both muscle cars. The Hellcat has 2 forward-firing machine guns and a Vulcan machine gun in a turret. There's a driver and a turret gunner. Each crew member can make 1 attack per round. So the driver can fire off the machine guns, and the turret gunner can fire the Vulcan machine gun, and that's a pretty good setup. I'm not sure if I mentioned this or not, but every round is just 1 second long for the players in the in the arena, the crew members in the arena, and so it's not like they can both fire the same weapon at the same time. So the weapons themselves also can only fire once. Normally, the driver fires forward-facing weapons because anything that's not forward-facing they take a -10 with, Well, because they're driving the car, they don't want to be distracted by what's off to their left or right or behind them. A gunner has almost the exact opposite. They can fire any weapon in any direction except behind themselves, which is a -10. And that's why there are little arrows here to tell you which way they're facing. In this vehicle, both of them are facing forward. But this gunner is a turret gunner. They are actually underneath the Vulcan machine gun turret. And the thing about turrets is that unless you are a turret gunner, you're going to take a -10 to hit with it. Just because it is so awkward to aim and such. But if you are a turret gunner, you're going to take a -10 to hit with any other weapon in the vehicle that is not your turret. So, something to keep in mind. Now, the Pyro has 3 incendiary micro-missile launchers aiming forward, and a flamethrower in a turret. So they're actually kind of similar vehicles. This one's just a little more incendiary. You'll notice that the driver is facing forward and has a hit +10 from a targeting computer. So anything that the driver uses is going to get a +10 bonus. For the most part, the driver is just going to fire those micro-missiles, and they will have a 50% chance to hit because the base chance for a micro-missile launcher is 40%, plus that 10% for the targeting computer. The flamethrower is manned by the turret gunner, and that has a 60% chance to hit. Gear Jammers uses percentile dice for hit rolls and such, if you haven't figured that out already. Yeah, here you can see the damage each weapon does. That's 1 die. These are certain notes. B1 stands for burst. It explodes when it impacts. And that's going to cause extra shock damage, and it may even affect the area around the explosion and do half damage to it. F6 stands fire count, and when you roll the damage dice, if you roll a 6 and your weapon has an F6, that's going to set that vehicle on fire for 1 point. We'll get to that later on. I'm sure it'll probably happen. Yeah, flamethrowers are the same, except they have F4, so they're far more likely to set a vehicle on fire. Oh yeah, these numbers right here, that's your ammo count, and this is Car Wars. We do keep track of our ammo. That's kind of important. Over here, the Hellcat has the same thing. 50% chance to hit, 60% with the Vulcan, which is really good. I don't believe they have any targeting computers. No, they don't. So that's basically what they use. Anyways, for movement, I am using a smaller turning razor, and I actually have it mounted to what I call a mini boomstick. It's a pencil, which helps because you have to record damage and such with one end, but these colored tapes, that's colored electrical tape, and they are marking off zones, namely close, short, and everything out here is medium. This is an actual boomstick, and it has the same dimensions, but it goes much farther. It goes out to long, which is a -10, and it even goes to extra long, which is a -20, and far, which is a -30. Problem with a big boomstick is, well, it's big, which also makes it a bit cumbersome. So it kind of helps to have this little mini boomstick, which tells you the 2 most important versions, which are right up here. Close, in the red, gives you a +40 to hit. Almost impossible to miss at that range. Short gives you a +20. And at medium, it just drops down to 0. So if I were... This car, by the way, the number 3 car is the Pyro, and the number 41 is the Hellcat. Yeah, so if I were this far away, that is a close range attack and would give me a +40. A little bit farther back, and well, now we're in the +20 zone. And you're always going by the closest face. So right here is the very outer edge of short range, and that's still a plus 20. Out here, okay, now we're at medium range, and there's no bonus to hit. So, short, 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 close range, medium range. Those are your three most important ones. By the way, normally the turning razor would be flat and the pencil would be staying straight up, and I would just poke it down. I use the thumbtack to stick it into the eraser, and that gives it a nice handle. But I filmed this section of the video before, and I found that my hand was constantly getting in the way of the camera. So I sliced it on its side at an angle and mounted the razor on it. And yeah, that should work. Let's see. Anyways, back to our starting positions. This is just a little concrete bunker of sorts to make things interesting. And we're going to start the game with the Hellcat going first. Both vehicles are doing 30 miles an hour, and the Hellcat has an acceleration of 5, which is about as slow as it gets. But that's about as slow as a normal passenger car, to tell the truth. And we're going to take it up to 35. And we're going to move 3 car steps. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. If that concrete bunker were not in the way, my turret would actually be able to fire through it. But I can't. And neither can my front weapons, because in gear jammers, there are no weapon arcs. Weapons that are mounted inside the vehicle are fixed, and your front weapons can only aim to the front, and your side weapons can only aim to the side. You know, they don't do this thing. Sorry. Anyways, that is all the Hellcat's going to do, so that's their turn. And now the Pyro goes. And the Pyro also has ACL 5, and it's going to take it up to 35, and move 3. But, you know what, I'm going to have... Am I in there? Okay, let's see. 1, 2, and we're going to turn 3. So, for whatever it's worth, there you go. And I can't attack there either, because, once again, I don't have a good line of sight. We go to recoil. Moves your hazard token back as many steps as you have had in class. So, 1. Takes me back to 0. And we're back to the Hellcat. And now I'm going to take it up to 40. So we got 4. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to turn. And let's see. I can draw a line of fire. See? Perfectly straight shot right there. Medium range. Now the thing about combat is you can make your attack at any time while your vehicle is moving. From before you make your first car length of movement to right after you make your last one. So this is legit, and I'm going to open fire with my machine guns. 50% chance to hit. Let's see what happens. That's a miss. And the other one. 34. 3 points of damage. Oh, you know something? I forgot something. In Car Wars, whenever you attack the front of a vehicle, you take a -10. So he actually had 40% chance to hit. But you know what? A 34 still does that. So our Pyro takes 3 points of damage up to its front. I would mark that off like so. 1, 2, 3. There we go, 3 points. And of course I gotta mark my machine gun ammo. Now you have to remember, the Hellcat also has a gunner who has access to that Vulcan machine gun. That has a 60% chance to hit. Minus 10 because it's the front of the vehicle brings it down to 50% chance. So let's see. A 5. That's a definite hit. And that's also the reason why you don't really want to roll the dice in the arena. Once again, normally the Crash Master rolls the dice separately off to the side just so you don't have that kind of thing happening right there. Anyways, Vulcan Machine Gun hits with 2 dice of damage. Oh my. 11 points. Not a good start for the Pyro. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yikes. Also, Pyro has a shock value of 5, so every 5 points of damage is going to cause 2 hazards. So, 1, 2. That's from the shock of that blow. Good start for the Hellcat. Now it is the Pyro's turn. Pyro is also going to take it up 5 miles an hour to 40. Let's see. The Pyro has a plus 10 from the firing computer, which will be canceled out by the minus 10 from trying to aim at the Hellcat's front side. So it has a 40% chance to hit with its micro missiles. We're going to try and improve that. Let's see. 4 steps forward. 1, 2, 3. Let's take a look. Oh, so close, so close. 4. Alright. Oh my. This is going to be a tight situation trying to avoid that collision. Anyways, I am at short range. That's what I was doing right there. Let's see if I can put that there. So I get a plus 20 to hit. That's a 60. Come on, dice. 3 rockets right to the front. Oh, that's a miss. And that's a hit. And a miss. So 1 rocket hits, doing 4 points of damage. Oh, wrong sheet. Oh no, I had the right sheet. Dar. Let me mark my ammo. 1, 2, 3. 4 points of damage to the front. The Hellcat has a shock value of 5, so no hazard comes from it. Not the greatest retaliation. Anyways, yeah, that's it for the Pyro. So we recoil. I move my little arrow back up to where it says grid, and move this back 3 spots. 1, 2, that's about as far as you go. Yeah. Did not mean to flip that token over. There we go. Alright, so a new round begins. The Hellcat goes first. Ooh, do I want a ram? The Hellcat has a ram plate, but I've also taken 4 points of damage to my front. But I'm not going all that fast. Huh. Anyways, I didn't do acceleration. Sure, let's take it up to 45. There we go. And I have to move 4 spots. But before I do that, it's really tempting to do a collision at this point, but that would be a head-on collision, and that would combine the 2 speeds. A 45 plus a 40. That's an 85 collision speed. That's 8 dice of damage to both vehicles. No, I don't want to do it. Okay. But I am going to get in there close. And let him have it with my machine guns. So I gotta move 4 car steps. 1. This is gonna be tight. 2. Oh man. I hope I can do it. Can I? Yeah, I can drift. I think I can drift. Alright, first we open fire with the front machine guns. And what is that? That is a 50% chance to hit. Minus 10 because the front is 40, but plus 40 because I'm in an insanely close range. So I have 80% chance with each one. Miss! Oh my. And a hit. 5 points of damage. And that's gonna do, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And also 5 points of damage is 1 shock hazard. So we take that up to there. And also I got the Vulcan. Let's do the Vulcan. Has a 60% chance, that drops to 50, plus 40, 90% chance to hit. And that's a hit. Doing 2 dice to the front. 6 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another hazard from the shock. And you know, I'm going to do it. I was going to do a drift. And a drift would have done this. And avoided a head-on collision. But you know what? I've got a ramp weight. Let's use it. So I'm going to smack into this guy. And at this point the Crash Master would probably just come over here and tell us how the vehicles are going to react. But since I am the Crash Master, I'm going to say it goes like this. Bam. And that is a head-on collision, which means the 2 speeds combine. 45 plus 40 makes for 85, and it's 1 die damage for every 10 miles per hour of collision. So that's what? 10. 22. 22, 29. Ouch. This could be the end for the hotshot. Another thing is, because he has a ramp weight, the ramp weight adds a +1 per die. So 29 plus 8 is 37 points of damage. But in a ram and gear jammers, half of it goes to the front armor and half of it goes to the frame of the vehicle. So 29 plus 8 is 37. Half of 37 is 15. No, half of 37 would be 18 and 19, I think. Am I right? Oh man, I wasn't expecting to do this much math on camera. We'll say 18 and 19. And half is going to go to the frame, and the greater half goes to the armor, and the lesser half goes to the frame. So I'm just going to write 18 down here for frame damage. 19 points goes to the front armor, and this could very well be the end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm through the front armor. And when damage goes through the armor, it basically goes into your schematic and it hits the first thing it hits. So, I did 5 points. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh man, that's some serious damage right there. Not only that, but these micro missile launchers were all filled with ammo, and they have a 50% chance of exploding. So each one of them. No. I need a 50 or lower will explode. No? Oh my. Let's see. Boom! Oh, 49! Excuse me. Yeah, that last micro missile launcher. So that one goes up, and that causes a chain reaction that just rips through the vehicle and blows it to smithereens right then and there. The Barracuda takes almost the same amount of damage. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, because a ram plate removes half of the vehicle's front armor from the collision. So I think my original roll did 29 points of damage, and my front armor had been reduced to 26. Half of 26 is 13, and 29 minus 13 is what? 16. So 16 points of damage, half of which goes to the front, which is 8 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And half of 16 goes to the frame damage, so that's another 8 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the Hellcat lives to fight another day. The hot shot it goes up in a ball of flame. And that is Gear Jammers. That is how it played. Normally battles do not end that quickly, but I'm actually kind of glad this one has, because this video has gone on for quite a while. If you're interested, check out the links below to the website. Grab yourself a free copy. Have good games. Alright, thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.